When I was a child, little fragments of my father's involvement in Arnhem would come out occasionally, and I think the first real big story really was he took me to see A Bridge Too Far when it came out, which I guess I must have been about 12 or 13. He didn't really say much before it. I knew it was about a battle he was involved in, but he talked about the flight from the UK up to the point where he landed just by Oosterbeek. He didn't really talk about what happened afterwards until probably well after my mother died. And at that point he started getting involved in the Glider Pilot Regimental Association. And coming here to Arnhem for the remembrance events, like the 40th and the 50th. He always felt a bit surprised that even after all that, going back as a veteran to Arnhem, the welcome and the gratitude that the people showed, even people who clearly weren't even born then, really touched him significantly, and that's one of the reasons why Arnhem's important to us as a family. That's why we come back. The whole place to him was important, not only during the battle, but also his relationship with the city afterwards. He was a glider pilot. He joined them fairly soon after the regiment was formed, and of course spent a year or two training, which was probably fun as much as anything else. And then in '44 the fun stopped, of course, because in June he went to D-Day and came back from D-Day, and then he was in on day 2. He landed in Arnhem. First visitor from the family after my father was my grandfather. We have a picture of him at the war cemetery in Oosterbeek. He sort of started an unspoken tradition, which is we always go and visit the grave of Lenny Kiff, who was my father's co-pilot. And so my brothers and I, and now my son, whenever we're in the area, we always make a point of going there and spending some time reflecting.
I never met my granddad. He died the year before I was born. I think it's very clear that he had such a big impact in our family that I never even met him yet. I feel like I have, because I know so much about what he did. To even consider doing something like that is frankly ridiculous. I physically cannot comprehend doing something like that. Fortunately, I don't have to. It's hard to put into words quite what the experience is. It's completely different to anyone else in my family. They all met him, they all knew him. Whereas I, in a good way, I only know his kind of bravest moments. I'm sure that's the same for a lot of families of servicemen that were here, where they don't necessarily know the details of their relatives' lives, but they know how much they gave. Sometimes they gave everything. It's particularly important to remember that.
It's difficult, as someone who's never been in the military, someone who's a civilian, to feel genuine in lining up and marching with the real veterans. I don't think I could justify standing next to them, given my somewhat comfortable existence thanks to the sacrifices that they all made. The run is a great opportunity to make a gesture, do something that shows that it's important and it's worth doing.